It's Thursday, June 10th, 2021. Wow. More magic tricks, more manipulation, more lies. Dow Jones closes up 19 points today. The S&P 500 closed at a record high, all while we have hundreds of thousands of people filing first-time jobless claims. 376,000 Americans filed first-time jobless claims last week. They expected that number to be 370. It was 376. But we keep hearing now that, oh, this is the sixth straight week it's gone down, so everything's recovering, everything's great. I don't know about you, but 376,000 Americans filing first-time jobless claims after what, 14, 15 months of this crisis. This is not a good sign. Markets should have crashed. We got the CPI today, 5%. Markets should have crashed, but no. S&P 500 closes at a record high. Dow Jones closes in the green, up 19 points. I mean, this whole thing is so fake, and anybody that can't see it obviously believes in the tooth fairy. You know, people are being fooled into thinking that everything is going back to some sort of normal, that everything is recovering, that their life and their standard of living is going to get better, their purchasing power is going to get better, their standard of living is going to get better. It is not, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what is going on. We are still hemorrhaging jobs. We've now created a society where people don't even want to go back to work. And we look at wages today. We look at the 25-hour work weeks. We look at the service sector type jobs out there. All this is pointing to very, very bad times here in America. Somebody please show me the evidence where things are getting so good. Point to me where the recovery is. I don't see it. CNBC today, consumer prices jumped 5% in May, fastest pace since the summer of 2008. You know, it was what, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months ago, a few months ago, people were laughing at me saying that there would be no inflation. Oh, you're wrong, JB, you're wrong. Many of you said the same thing. There's going to be inflation. You cannot print this amount of dollars and not see inflation. Again, when you flood an economy with this amount of dollars, you're going to see inflation, period. CNBC, even though CPI is up, people are still spending money, says Wells Fargo's Smith. This is a recipe for disaster. And yes, there are people out there spending like there's no problem. And some people can afford to spend. Don't get me wrong. There's people out there making money. That top 1% is doing incredibly well. They're buying Ferraris, Lambos, private jets, yachts, multi-million-dollar real estate. They're buying farms. But then you have the average American who's still on unemployment benefits, getting an unemployment check every week, getting that $300 benefit, not paying rent, going out buying a big screen TV, buying the Nikes, going on the weekend trip to Las Vegas. These people are going to wake up into a nightmare, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope if you're watching this, you did not get suckered into doing this. So many people thought this was going to go on forever. It is going to come to an end. They can extend it a little bit more possibly, but look, the bills are coming due. The benefits, the subsidies, it's going to come to an end. And when it does, this is going to be a wake up to millions of people, and it is going to be too late for these people. It is already too late for millions of people to even prepare for this economic collapse. The hedge today, household net worth hits record $137 trillion, up $25.6 trillion since the crisis. So this is great news, right? So if you're looking for some good news, here's the great news. Household net worth hits record $137 trillion. But you got to ask yourself, if you're a realist, how did it get there during the worst economy of all time, during this crisis of 2020? How could you have an economy shut down, 25+% unemployment, and yet have record household net worth? Well, the answer is most of it was because of these artificial injections that we saw come from the Fed. A bulk of this wealth also goes to a very small group of people, the wealthiest 1%, not the average American. It went to the 1%. The wealth transfer is making the richest even richer. and the average American more and more poor. You know, and I know that the middle class in America is being sliced up. The poor or the lower middle class being sliced up. Household debt grew by 6.5% in the first quarter of 2021. How do you have a recovery? How do you have a great economy when you have household debt growing like this, 6.5%? And all these numbers I'm giving you, I think are really conservative numbers. I think things are much worse. I think household debt is growing at a much higher rate. I think that the amount of money that is being pumped into these markets, into the top 1%, is more than we can even imagine. All this government help that we've been witnessing has helped the top 1%, the wealthiest people here in America and abroad. This economic recovery that we're being told daily on the television, you know what it's all from. Again, it's these injections coming from the Fed, as the Fed balance sheet now is expanding to $8 trillion. The wealthy continue to get richer, and the bottom 50% of America continue to acquire and drown with more debt, okay? They're literally got an anchor of debt tied around their leg, and they're being thrown into a lake. And these people are not going to recover. You're watching a wealth transfer take place right before your very eyes. Anybody that goes, when's it going to happen? You better wake up. It's happening right now. You're watching it. You may even be a victim of it and not even know. So many of these people are being victimized by this wealth transfer, by this economy, and they don't even know it. That's the thing that's just so hard to digest. It's just unimaginable to think that people are being financially victimized and don't even know it. And that's what's happening. Millions of people have no idea what is going on. CNBC, the average millennial has over $4,000 in credit card debt. Other generations have more. So you take into account that so many of these millennials too have massive amounts of college tuition debt that, I mean, they're never going to be able to get out of the hole. They are now debt slaves. Why, if things are so good, why are the debts not getting paid down by other generations or by millennials? How come people are acquiring and drowning in more debt than ever? If there was so much opportunity out there, if there were so many good, well-paying jobs, if the economy was really robust, if your dollar had purchasing power, how come people cannot get out of this debt cycle? Yes, many have decided to just keep spending, live off the credit cards. They want to buy that item today. They want to go to that concert today. They want to buy that car today. They want to go on that vacation today. They won't save. They will use credit. And in doing so, they have no control, and they are becoming debt slaves. They've chosen to become a debt slave because they have no control. And again, it is so late for so many people to even begin to prepare for what's coming. It's too late. It's too late. The Hedge, 40 million Americans bracing for end of student loan moratorium as politicians acknowledge unsustainable debt. So now what happens? What happens when the bills begin to have to get paid? When the bills are due, ladies and gentlemen, they're overdue. You know, if you watched Dan Golka's video the other day when he was at Main Place Mall in Santa Ana, California, and he told me, you know, probably 10, maybe 15% vacancy, 10 to 15% vacancy at that mall. But you look at the stores, they're just low-end stores. Not a lot of people shopping, not a lot of people walking around with bags. But the question is, how many of those stores in the mall are 10 months, 12 months, 14 months behind on rent? That's what we don't know. Yes, the lights are on, people are walking around, businesses are open. But what's going to happen when the landlord or the management company of those malls go, hey, you owe us for 14 months of rent, pay up? What's going to happen? That is going to be a bridge we're going to be crossing very, very soon. Here's an article that is a little bit older, but I read this last night. TitleLoansER.com, okay? TitleLoansER.com. Car repossession statistics. And as you're being told and I'm being told daily how great the economy is doing, just watch CNBC or Fox Business. All these economists, these analysts, all these puppets telling you and I how great things are. And I came across this website, and I just want to read to you. 2021 Repossession Facts. 2.2 million vehicles are repossessed every year. 5,418 repossessions every day. 226 car repossessions every hour. 3.76 repossessions a minute. This is all in the United States of America. With yearly repossession rates at 65% compared to yearly new car sales, this means that for every 2.4 cars sold, one existing vehicle on the road will be repossessed each year. Also on this website, it said that 10,000 autos in Chicago, just in Chicago, 10,000 autos can be repossessed at any moment. That's how many cars are up for repossession in Chicago, in the city of Chicago, 10,000 automobiles. What are the real numbers today in the U.S. economy? How many cars are going to be repossessed by the end of this year? It says here 2.2 million vehicles are repossessed every year. What's going to happen in 2021? What's the number going to be? Please comment down below. What are you seeing? What do you think in the repossession game? Cars are being repossessed like crazy. Yet they're still selling cars. We've got a shortage of cars. They'll basically allow you with horrible credit to drive off with a car today. Yet they're repossessing over 2 million cars a year. And we don't even know how bad the numbers are going to be for 2021. We don't know how bad it really is. But we keep hearing about how great the auto industry is doing now because there's such a shortage, and used cars too. But are we going to see 2.5 million cars repossessed this year? Is it going to be 3 million? I don't know, but it's going to be a lot of cars. But I mean, you look at these statistics, and these are statistics from years prior on average, and I believe 2021 is going to be the worst of them all. But I mean, this is absolutely unbelievable when you look at this. Yet they're still lending people money. People are still buying cars, getting deeper into debt, and they know that you're not going to pay this back. So we'll keep an eye on that. Wolfstreet.com. It gets ugly. Dollar purchasing power plunged at fastest pace since 1982. It's permanent, not temporary, won't bounce back. Look, they tell you that this inflation is transitory. Look, it is permanent, and the dollar is going to be under extreme pressure. This is why you better be holding real assets. Ladies and gentlemen, this is no game. This is real. And people are going to wake up one day into a nightmare because they're going to be evicted. They're going to get their car repossessed. You're going to see an economic collapse unlike you've ever seen. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to see on these business channels, Dow Jones down 3,000, 4,000 points. You're going to see things you never thought humanly possible. You're going to see, I believe, bank runs. You're going to see banks in very, very big trouble. But no, that could never happen. You got a Fed balance sheet now of nearly $8 trillion. They're printing money hand over fist, trying to patch up the cracks in the dam. They're injecting this patient on life support every day, and it's not working. The problems now cannot be swept under the rug. They're not going away, ladies and gentlemen. They're being exposed, and they're going to continue to manifest. This is not going away. They have created a monster here, a Frankenstein of a sort, and it is not going away. This thing is manifesting daily now, and all they can do is try and print themselves out of debt. Not going to work. Not going to work. The hedge, core consumer prices surge at fastest rate since 1992. And while they do, nominal wages, as we know, as we're being told, are up, but real hourly wages are the lowest that they have been in a century. Think about that. Nominal wages up, but real wages are at the lowest they have been in 100 years. CNBC, Chipotle hikes prices to cover the cost of raising wages. Well, who do you think is going to pay for this? You're going to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it. You go to a McDonald's, you go to a Chipotle, you go to an Olive Garden, wherever you go, prices are going up. Now you've got inflation, and now the cost now of the that you're going to pay for the rising wages for people to prepare that food, to work at that store, to give you that service or that product. You're going to pay for it. The corporation doesn't pay for it. They just add it into the cost. So now we have a dollar that's purchasing less. Now we're going to have to pay people more money to make the coffee, to flip the burgers, to work at the Walmart, to work at the Macy's, etc. Plus fuel costs to ship the food in, to ship the clothing in, to ship all these retail products in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you are preparing. I hope you have been preparing. If you haven't, you are so late to the party. If you have a job right now, if you have some sort of income, if you better be making sure that you're putting cash aside, that you're putting hard tangible assets aside, and that you're covering all your bases with preparations. And if you can get a side hustle right now to bring in extra income, you better do what you got to do right now. So people right now are making less money, and they're going to pay more at the store. They're going to pay more at the pump. They're going to pay more at the restaurant, and they're going to get less for their money. That's where we're at. The hedge, outsourcing production of virtually everything, has brought U.S. economy to brink of nightmare scenario. And I want to finish up with this article. I made a couple notes on it. And if you get a chance, check it out. But guys, this is really, really getting serious. And if you're not concerned about this, you must be living under a rock. This is going to affect everybody. This means that the shortages that we're seeing are not going to be solved anytime soon. In the good times, being extremely dependent on the rest of the world to make stuff for us wasn't a problem. But now it's a very, very big problem. This depending or dependence has now become a national security issue. Back in 1990, the U.S. produced, get this, 37% of all computer chips in the entire world. Today, it's just 12%. 60% of all apple juice that is sold in America, guess where it comes from? It comes from China. The salmon that is caught in America is shipped to China and processed and then shipped back to America. Does this bother you? It should. It really should. During the good times, corporations discovered they can make a little bit more profit by outsourcing. So they did. And just imagine the hundreds, millions of jobs that went overseas, the tens of thousands of businesses and corporations that left America. We, right now at this moment, have I would say, a lukewarm relationship with China. What happens if that relationship goes sour? Are you going to get your pharmaceuticals? Remember, 90% of all your pharmaceuticals are made in China. We are so vulnerable, ladies and gentlemen. We have such a dependency on the rest of the world to make things. Remember, our economy is based on consumption, debt, buying things with money that we don't have. And we depend on the rest of the world to make our pharmaceuticals. We depend on the rest of the world to now import food into America, apple juice, process our own salmon. We have such a dependency now. And it was okay in the so-called good times. But now, as the dollar weakens and we see inflation, as people are going to continue to lose jobs, and we're going to see low wage jobs now in the service sector, leisure and hospitality economy that we have, and we're becoming more and more dependent on other countries. You know, I always say if you don't hold it, you don't own it. But if you do not make your own goods, your own products, if if you do not manufacture and now you're dependent on somebody else, just like if you're dependent on somebody else to hold your money, I don't sleep good at night thinking about that. But to think about that we now have to depend on other countries to make our pharmaceuticals, to import food, to process our food, that scares me. To import chips so we can manufacture cars and put those in computers. And this is very, very, very concerning. It's very troubling to think about how vulnerable this country is. More than 1/3 of all small businesses in jeopardy of closing this summer. That's also very concerning. And if you've watched a couple of my last videos in Los Angeles, Venice Beach, the amount of businesses that I saw in Santa Monica, Los Angeles, Venice Beach, a couple months ago when I was with Dan Golka in Hollywood, West LA, Beverly Hills, Westwood, etc. The amount, hundreds and hundreds of retailers and restaurants closed down permanently. And now they're talking about more shuttering this summer. But yet there's people out there telling you and I, everything's good. What an incredible recovery. This economy's booming. Just a month ago, they were worried it was overheating. It was doing so well that they were worried about the economy overheating. This economy is continuing to melt down. You see the vacant buildings. I see the vacant buildings. You watch my videos. And let me tell you, if it can happen in Los Angeles, if it can happen in California, typically what happens here in California happens across the country. You may live in Florida right now, and that's great, and it's going well for you in Florida and maybe parts of Texas. But the United States of America is a big country, and this country is over $28 trillion in debt, $166 trillion of unfunded liabilities. Majority of the pensions in this country are unfunded. They're in crisis mode. And we continue to depend on other countries for so much. So, if you live in a state that's doing well, God bless you. I hope it's doing well next year at this time. Because this crisis isn't just in California. It's not just in New York. It's not just in this state or that state. This crisis is national. And it's actually global because you've got, trillions. What was it? $277 trillion of global debt. There is so much happening, ladies and gentlemen, yet somebody may be living in Mayberry and think that they're not going to be affected. You are dead wrong. This message is for all of you. Make sure that you do not get complacent. Stop believing everything the television tells you. Open your eyes, look out the windows. You see what's going on. I see what's going on. We are going to see things we never thought possible. Ask yourself, are you ready and are you prepared?